how are you doing? Today I wanted to talk about my pregnancy. I wanted to share a little bit about how the process was. Since this is Mother's Month, I thought this video would be relevant to share now because I know there are other women who want to become mothers. Fertility treatments are insanely expensive and we just can't afford them, guys. There's just no way around it. And there's always the option of adoption, but I chose to have my own child. I wanted to have my daughter. I wanted to carry her. I wanted to go through the experience of pregnancy. I had 2 miscarriages before Helena. I have endometriosis, and my husband and I had a blood incompatibility. And that made things so much harder, you know? It was practically impossible for us to get pregnant. Until the day I met Fran. Oh, I looked for all kinds of information. I started researching fertility treatments online, what they involved, how they worked. I studied a lot about it. I tried to get on the waiting list at the hospital. There's a hospital in Sao Paulo that does this treatment, but because of our financial situation, we just couldn't manage it, you know? You had to declare a bunch of things. It was really difficult. You had to go there to get the injections and all that. So I ended up deciding to try one last time with another method. And then I found out about pregnancy without complications, and it changed my life. I mean that literally, because it was through her that I was able to get pregnant. Of course, God helped me a lot, and I really see His hand in putting her in my path, okay? Yeah, one tip would be to follow her on Instagram. I'll leave her Instagram down here. And basically, Gestaqueo sem complicaco brings up some ideas that I used to think weren't relevant. For example, diet matters a lot, supplementation, avoiding alcohol, staying away from foods that cause inflammation. I didn't know any of that. And she started giving me a whole protocol from not eating out of plastic anymore, to avoiding heating food in the microwave, to steering clear of those non-stick Teflon pans, you know? And switching to ceramic cookware. And she started giving me all these tips that I thought were I said, wow, is that even possible? And I said, I'm going to follow it. I said, I'm going to follow it. I said, I'm going to try. And then as the first step, she asked us to write a letter. I still have that letter to this day. She asked us to write a letter to the baby. The baby was on the way, you know? So we had to really visualize that. And I did visualize it. We had just lost our second baby. I visualized it, wrote the letter, and as time went by, I started following the protocol and doing the diet. When you pay for the course, she gives you the protocol and everything, and you also get to have appointments with a nutritionist. So she's a certified nutritionist specialized in pregnancy, in motherhood, and all that. And then I started doing it. At first, I thought it was nonsense. I said, I'll follow it, but okay. I noticed a few things that I want to share with you, which I thought were excellent for me and extremely relevant, okay? Among them was the fact that my menstrual blood started coming out a much brighter red. Before, it was much more pinkish, kind of watery, and all that. I started to see that the blood was coming out a brighter red. I also started having more lubrication during the treatment. I call it a treatment because it was such a big change, you know? A change. When I started following the protocol, for me it felt like a treatment, but I wasn't taking any medication, just vitamins, you know? She gives you a vitamin supplement plan and your nutrition protocol. Like, she'll say it's good for you to eat this, it's good to eat a certain amount of that, a certain amount of a particular fruit, a certain amount of something else. She explains everything really nicely. I followed this protocol. I stuck with it for 4 months. And then, when I saw that I still hadn't gotten pregnant, I kind of slacked off. I said, oh, I'm just going to take it easy for a bit, you know? The month I decided to slack off, I got pregnant. And then I couldn't even believe it. I told her, it's been a month since I stopped following it, so what do I do now? I don't want to lose this baby. And then she said to me, everything's going to be fine. Now we're going to start taking care of you and the baby. You're not just someone trying to get pregnant anymore. Now you're a mom, right? So we started. She ordered a whole bunch of tests. I did all of them. She asks for tests that a regular OB/GYN wouldn't ask for. So it's really good for you to see a nutritionist. I found having a nutritionist essential during my pregnancy. She made all the difference in my life, okay? So yeah, I did all the tests she asked for, followed everything to the letter, and then the pregnancy kept progressing, kept growing, kept developing. Of course, I also saw my OBGYN, obviously, right? An amazing OBGYN. I'm totally in love with her too. And my pregnancy became easy, it was smooth. Of course, there were some concerns because since I had already had a miscarriage, there were worries. I had to take, in addition to supplements, progesterone, and I needed to rest because my uterus was a little irritable for that baby, for Helena, right? I say that baby now, but for Helena so she could have a smooth journey in my belly. And everything went well, guys. Thank God. At the very end of the pregnancy, she recommended that I take iron so there wouldn't be any risk, to give the baby more iron, and she also recommended omega-3 and a bunch of other things, and I followed everything to the letter. And it was totally worth it. I had an extremely smooth, absolutely wonderful delivery. Helena was born naturally. I didn't need anesthesia because it was really fast, obviously, but also because when I reached 37 weeks, I started following a doula's protocol. She says, start squatting, walk in a squat, do this, get ready, get your hips ready. At 37 weeks, I started preparing my hips. And this doula, she kept helping me. She kept saying, get ready, because I didn't want to have a C-section since I didn't have a support network, you know? It was just me and my husband in the city where we live. So I didn't have a support network, so there was no way I could have a C-section, right? So I really needed to leave the hospital in good shape, you know? And that's why I decided to look for a doula, so I could have a natural birth. And thank God, Helena, I started having labor pains at around 2:30 in the morning. We got to the hospital around 4:20, and by 5:30, Helena was born. It was really fast. She just came right out. And here she is, this beautiful, wonderful girl. So if you want to be a mom and you've already tried everything, I truly recommend, from the bottom of my heart, as a last attempt, that you check out Gestakeo Sem Complicaco. There are other nutritionists who do this kind of work too, but since I haven't tried them, I can't say if it works or not. I know that what I did with Fran worked, and there are other babies out there who are proof of that because she's helped other moms too, okay? I'll leave the information down below. I really think it's worth it for you to check it out, to have a consultation with her, to get informed. I believe you're going to like it. She's wonderful, and her service is amazing. And, well, that's it. There's nothing more to say. I just truly wish from the bottom of my heart that you get the little baby you're hoping for, and that they're a joyful, happy child who brings you all the magic that motherhood brings, just like it did for me. Kisses, and God bless you.